In this video, I want to discuss Ripple's emergence as one of the biggest stablecoin issuers globally, a topic that has received very little attention from the XRP community thus far. In this video, I want to explain why I believe Circle, the maker of the USDC currency, hasn't yet developed their stablecoin USDC on the XRP ledger. I have been wondering why this is the case for a very long time. And the reason is that Ripple and Circle might be up against more opponents than many of us realized. At the conclusion of the video, I also want to discuss the US dollar's impending demise because I see a lot of people on Twitter making predictions about it. I want to share with you my viewpoint on the situation in this video. You might be surprised by my conclusion that the collapse of the dollar is imminent. Thus, be sure to watch the entire video. I want to start this video by discussing a really huge insight I just had, since it provides an answer to one of the greatest issues I've been wondering about our business for a while. And for this reason, Circle the company that provides the USD stablecoin, hasn't created a USD stablecoin on top of the XRP ledger. I consider Ripple and Circle to be two of the most institutionally ready cryptocurrency startups on the market at the moment, which is the main reason why this question has been so difficult for me to answer. These are undoubtedly two of the most professional businesses, and they are frequently spotted together at events like the World Economic Forum in Davos. I therefore never understood why Circle didn't go and create their USDC token on top of the XRP ledger. Many minor blockchains, such as Solana XXLM, host no Circle's USDC token. So, it would have seemed to make perfect sense for a Circle to also be creating their coin on the XRP ledger. Now, a lot of individuals have claimed that the ongoing Ripple SEC case is the sole reason this isn't happening. Yet, the Circle has actually been existing for quite some time. I don't really believe that the XRP ledger is the primary cause, so there may be something more significant at play. And I believe I may have figured it out at last. I'd like to start by really showing you this Anthony Welfare video. He is the leader of the Ripple CDC team, and I just want to play you this video so he can explain what Ripple is now working on. Explain why, in my opinion, Circle hasn't yet developed their coin on the XRP ledger since it truly relates to two very different future business models. I'll try to get you folks to notice it. In this video, pay close attention. Following that, I'll explain how I see the situation. These are the two central banks with whom we are collaborating, the Bhutan Monetary Authority and the Rome Monetary Authority. That is the complete CBDC. Hence, they are a sovereign country. And all of that, including the issuance and use of their currency, is still very much in progress. Finally, there will be PLAW, which will be a stable coin backed by the US government but supported by the governments of the players, and the money will be held one for one. It is a stable coin that is controlled, and one of the first to be published. Great! I appreciate it very much. I hope the rest of your day is wonderful. Anthony here. What exactly did we learn there then? We are finding out that Ripple is genuinely entering the stablecoin market. Using the XRP ledger, Ripple is creating stable currency for entire nations. Although Ripple is now working on projects that are essentially stable currency projects, not many members of the XRP community have looked at Ripple as a stablecoin supplier. But it appears that this is where Ripple's business is heavily headed. How does the business model for stable currencies used by Ripple differ from that of Circle? The truth is that Circle is essentially inventing its own proprietary currency. Although their USDC coin is now tied to the dollar, the US government does not actually support it. This is actually extremely different from what Ripple is doing because it's basically a private currency that replicates the dollar. Since Circle is basically building a private independent currency, and since Ripple is actually generating a digital representation of a sovereign nation's money, Ripple is actually approaching the central banks in these nations and saying, "Hey, we are going to issue money on the XRP network for you too." You could now be questioning whether this tactic is more effective. Well, they're totally dissimilar. Now, in my opinion, the Ripple technique actually carries far less risk. And the reason for that is that they are cooperating with governments rather than opposing them. Since they are developing a new private form of money, Circle's business model can be interpreted as a move against governments. Also, governments normally do not appreciate things like this. But Ripple is approaching these countries' central banks and warning them that they might not have the technology to create a digital copy of their currency. Let us assist you in creating your own sovereign currency on the XRP ledger. Additionally, we can employ private ledgers to guarantee that it satisfies all of your requirements. So, in all honesty, I believe that both of these tactics will endure in the future. There are many people out there who don't want to only use fiat money. And I believe that is already evident in the widespread concern about CBDCs. But it doesn't follow that they won't also be entirely useless. They will both, in my opinion, have a position in the future financial system, and I actually believe they will be far larger than the private forms of currency like the USD. I believe there is now a lot more support for what Ripple is doing. Since most people aren't like me and you, who are watching this video, think of all your friends who aren't interested in learning about investing, blockchain technology, or caring that their money is being inflated into oblivion. Instead of caring whether they're using a private blockchain or not, these people are simply not interested in understanding it. People like me and you might argue, "Oh, well, that will give them too much control over what I'm doing." But the majority of them will probably feel more at ease utilizing the sovereign version supported by the government. Oh, that will let them use the currency for X, Y, and Z. Yet most folks merely don't give a damn. And many individuals simply have enough faith in the government to say, "Alright, I'll use that currency." Due to this, I believe what's actually going on is that Ripple and Circle are much more of a rival than many of us realized. But they do so in two very different ways. They are essentially attacking the same market and producing digital money. Ripple is attempting to integrate these nations into the future financial system by assisting them in tokenizing their currencies, whereas Circle genuinely has this vision of having everyone use a private currency that is independent of countries. This story has, in my opinion, been seriously underappreciated for a time. Then, after watching this interview with Anthony Welfare, it all kind of just made sense to me. So, this personally excites me a lot because it opens up a ton of new business models for Ripple and a ton of new applications for XRP. Utilizing the XRP ledger, Ripple has been promoting liquidity management for companies. And I believe that this might be connected. If entire nations adopt that technology and create new sovereign digital currencies based on the XRP ledger, they will require liquidity for their respective currencies. And that might be what Ripple is doing with their liquidity offering, which was created using XRP and built on the XRP ledger. So, in order to ensure that they had enough liquidity for their own versions of their currencies, countries would be forced to retain enormous amounts of XRP. I definitely don't know how this is going to turn out in every specific yet. Also, a lot of stuff is just conjecture. Yet, we do know that Ripple is evolving into a steady coin supplier for entire countries. And the focal point of this product will be XRP. We're not exactly sure how anything will function. Yet, this is really wonderful news. And to conclude this video, I want to discuss how the dollar's demise is a topic that is frequently brought up in the XRP community. And I only want to express my viewpoint. Now that you mention it, I believe I have a contrarian viewpoint on this. The dollar won't collapse anytime soon, in my opinion. I will under no circumstances claim that the dollar will never devalue. That is a stupid remark, in my opinion. But a lot of people in our community seem to think that the collapse of the dollar is imminent. And I, for one, wouldn't be shocked if another 50 years passed without the dollar devaluing. Nobody is certain of the exact timing. And it's beginning to seem a little bit stretched to me. Many people make these ominous predictions that don't actually materialize. Despite the fact that inflation is falling, people are talking about hyperinflation. A banking crisis is being discussed. But following the events of a few months ago, the majority of the banking sector appears to be rather stable. Even if there is a recession and fears of a huge depression, business earnings are still holding up. Although we're moving in the wrong direction for this collapse, it's not to suggest that everything can't change in the upcoming few months. For a dollar. And the second thing I want to make clear is that even if the dollar were to collapse, what would become the new reserve currency? There isn't another nation on the globe that the entire world trusts more than the United States. Yet difficulties abound in the United States. I am tired of this government and this country when it comes to certain things because we have corrupt politicians. But that does not imply that nations like China are any better. In the end, there is a lack of faith in everyone and everything. And for whatever reason, Americans still have the most faith in the US government. And changing it will take a long time. In the end, I don't disagree that the value of the dollar could plummet within the next 50 or 100 years. I just want to warn folks that, in my opinion, it doesn't seem to be occurring at the moment. Other than the soaring debt, I haven't seen any other evidence that we have a serious issue. And you might be thinking, how could you just disregard the debt that is skyrocketing? At the end of the day, debts have been spiraling out of control for the past 50 years. They have been rising steadily, and you could argue that the dollar was doomed to collapse at any point during that time. It's nearly impossible to time these doomsday scenarios, which is the problem. Also, it frequently occurs when no one anticipates it. For me, there are simply far too many individuals predicting the collapse of the currency and expecting it to occur immediately. Who knows now? This is obviously not advice on finances or anything of the sort. I just want to share my viewpoint with you. I know many people who would probably be more likely to tell you that the dollar is about to fall. I only wish to present the opposing viewpoint. And I constantly repeat this. Nothing is off limits. To better understand the likelihood that any circumstance may occur, it is simply necessary to consider both sides of the argument. Of course, anything is possible, and anything has a chance of happening. This is just my opinion of the circumstances. I hope you enjoyed this update, people. Please remember to like and subscribe if you did. For the time being, it truly does help me out a lot.